Hi, everybody. Howdy-ho. It's Bill Whittle here with the Stratosphere Lounge, episode number 136. And we have a special secret guest who will be joining us in just a few moments. This is the first show after what somebody called Happy Victory Fun Week, and I just kind of wanted to make it Happy Victory Fun Year. It's going to be amazing. There's so many things to talk about starting tonight, and undoubtedly that we'll be talking about for years and decades and centuries and generations to come. So that's good news. I just saw Dave Big Booty, hi everybody, said that it looks like our Facebook likes are creeping up. They're not creeping up, they're rocketing up. We got a really terrific guy, a group of terrific company, I should say, doing our social media at long last, and this meme warfare, this mimetic warfare with these pictures. Our reach has gone through the ceiling. Just to give you an idea, I got an email from him earlier today, and it says that prior to them coming on 1 week, our reach is now 250,000. Prior to them coming on a week ago, it was 13,000. So we're getting ourselves a little more famous out there. It looks like a little tiny bit bright in here on the feedback. So let me just take this down 1 second, and then we will get to work because we do have some interesting things to talk about today. And as I said, we also have a secret mystery guest who will be making an appearance in just a moment here. Anybody want to guess who it is? No? I can wait. Well, for those of you who watched the It's a Miracle event just the night of the election, it was done at about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I had to fly to Florida the next day. I mentioned a little secret that I've been sitting on for quite some time, and I couldn't figure out when to announce it, and that just seems such a shockingly wonderful night that I decided to let the cat out of the bag. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here in the Stratosphere Lounge, my existing family of people who've been with me for 7, 8, 9 years, some of these folks, and longer in some cases. And so I thought maybe I'd introduce my Stratosphere Lounge online family to my new family. So everybody, I'm going to slide over, and I'd like you to meet my fiance, Natasha Melnikova. Come in here, beautiful. Hoorah! Say hi.
Hi.
The story of this little adventure is a big adventure, and we can tell it a little bit in pictures. So let me just show you a couple pictures, and I can tell you what I've been sitting on in terms of story for the last, May, June, July, 6 months. I'd like to pass on, by the way, to those of you in the National Security Agency that I can, in fact, keep a secret, because this is the biggest event of my life, and I didn't tell anybody about it publicly until quite a long time ago. So let's just back up, and I will show you how it worked. There's a great picture to be told in stories, and it's many people are wondering how on earth did a schmo like me end up with this absolutely gorgeous Russian lady who did not come out of a mail order catalog, as a matter of fact. She is a photographer of great renown, and so let me tell the story of how we actually met, because it's been long overdue. How you doing there, baby?
I'm fine.
Okay, good. As you guys know, I've been doing a lot of reading about. I was reading about the Nazis last year and the year before, just reading up everything I could get about them, and then I started to read about the communists in Russia, and I've been a fan of Russian history for a long, long time. So I read about Stalin, and I worked my way back. I got from Stalin down to Lenin and Trotsky, and then I went through the entire Romanov family, and then I just got fascinated. This would be probably back in April. I went through a period of about 2-3 weeks where I was just utterly, completely fascinated by the 4 Romanov daughters of Nicholas II. Atma is the acronym. This Olga, Tatiana, Maria, and Anastasia. I just fascinated with them, and hopefully I can show you why I was so fascinated with them. This is how the story of me meeting Natasha begins. So I was just looking at these pictures, and these are the 4 girls with the future Tsar, the Tsarevich, Alexei. And these 4 girls were the daughters of Nicholas II. And the more I read about them, the more kind of obsessed with them I became. Now, these are colorized modern pictures, but the actual photograph is actually correct. So these 4 girls are just so beautiful. They're just so stunning. They don't even look lifelike to me. They just look like dolls. And I think we have finally a picture of them later in life. And the thing that is so horrible about this, for those of you that didn't see it coming, are these 4 grand duchesses, these princesses, were taken into a house. First they went out to Siberia to Tolsk, I guess, and then finally they moved to Ekaterinburg. And when they were in Ekaterinburg, the Bolsheviks, sweet, gentle, charming people that they are, I'll come off of this for a second, the Bolsheviks decided that we're going to have to murder this entire family. The Tsar was going to be killed. His son, the heir, down there in the lower left, was going to be killed. The Tsarina to his right, Nicholas and Alexandra, she was going to be killed. But they decided that they had to kill these 4 girls as well because they're Bolsheviks, and that's what they do. So the horrible part of this, and then I'll get to the lovely part. I just have to tell the story because it's one of the reasons I was so fascinated. Go back to that picture again for a second. So this picture was probably taken, 4 or 5 years before they were killed. And what happened was they took them all down into a basement in this house that they were staying in, a basement room. And the Tsar, his wife, the son, and the daughters, so that's 7, plus a couple of servants and a doctor. It's just absolutely appalling. They took these people into this room, and they just lined up 11 guys with revolvers. And is everybody saying they lost the stream? I just refreshed it. And anyway, so they lined up 11 guys with revolvers and shot them all point blank. They killed the Tsar instantly. The Tsarina was shot pretty much instantly too. But here's the part that's so tragic. These girls and the little boy had a number of diamonds and jewels that they'd smuggled out. And when they shot these kids, they had hidden the jewels in their corsets and in their underwear and so on. So when they started firing on these children, they were actually wearing a form of bulletproof vests. And so they just didn't die right away. In fact, they kept shooting them, and they kept screaming, and they just kept on screaming. In any event, have we got the stream back? I'm not getting any comments back. It looks good, like it's recording to me, and it looks like it's streaming to me, so I'm just going to assume that we're going to keep going. In any event, these 4 girls were basically just shot to pieces, and finally they had to go in and try to stab the youngest 2, Maria and Anastasia, with bayonets. That finally had to try and kill them that way, and they didn't do a very good job of it, so that one of them, probably Maria on the far left there, survived, and briefly, and as she was being carried out to the meat wagon, they were going to take her to a mine and bury them all in. She woke up screaming, and they basically bashed her face in with rifle butts. So that's why I'm so fascinated with the Romanov daughters, and why I'm so fascinated with the Bolsheviks and the communists, because those are the kind of people that we're fighting against, and this is who they are. In any event, so how do we get from this picture here to this beautiful, wonderful woman sitting here next to me? And I'll show you. So I was image searching for everything I could find on these girls. I just couldn't get enough of it, and I would upload pictures of them onto Google Images, and it would bring up similar images. And when I was doing that, I started seeing pictures like this come up. And so I would see that image come up along with the daughters, and then I'd see, like maybe this would come up, and a couple more examples. And I saw images like this, and they all had the same watermark on them down in the bottom right-hand corner or left-hand corner, as the case may be. This picture, for example, does not look like it was taken in this century by... This picture looks to me like it was taken in 1915 out at the Alexander Palace at Tsarskoye Selo, and I was just completely fascinated by this look, because I didn't know how somebody could take pictures that had this kind of elegance and Grace, and here's the final one I'll show you. So when I saw these pictures, I thought, I don't know who took these pictures, but this person has not only an enormous amount of talent. They're something very delicate and kind and pure about somebody who can take pictures like this. So needless to say, if you look in the lower left-hand corner, there's a URL, and it's photomelnikova.ru. So needless to say, I went to photomelnikova.ru, and just mostly to say, hey, great work on the pictures. And I was expecting to see some 50-year-old man, in a bad suit or something, and that's not what I saw at all. I got to the website and I saw this picture, and I just said, okay, this is somebody that I'm going to have to strike up a conversation with. So sure enough, I sent her an email, and she sent me one back, and this amazing world of ours. We just started a conversation on WhatsApp, and after about, 10 days, something like that, honey, I guess, I said, you really should come visit America. Now, Natasha has been all over the world doing master classes and teaching other photographers how to take pictures like this. See you later, Carla. We'll get you on next week. You'll be our mystery guest for next week. And she's been all over Europe and other parts of the world, but never been to America. So the reason this is so interesting for me is I'm learning so much from, there's so much that I take for granted, and I think most of us take for granted as Americans. So I said, well, why don't you come on out come on a plane, we'll come out and visit. And unfortunately, you can't just do that. It took a long time for her to get the visa. I hate to say this, hate to keep interrupting the story, but man, this feed just keeps locking up. I'm not really happy about that. Looking good on this end here. We have 5 bars coming out. Anyway, there we go. So, we stayed in touch, obviously, and she finally wrote me one day and said, Billy, I've got the visa. I'm coming. So we decided, hooray. It's a 12-hour flight from Moscow direct to Los Angeles. By the way, there's only one flight that goes direct from Moscow to Los Angeles, and it's the highest rated flight. It's rated higher than British Airways, rated higher than Air France, higher than KLM, all of those. And it's Aeroflot. And when I grew up, thinking about Aeroflot was, just take your life in your hands, but it was tremendous. So anyway, I thought, okay, well, you know what? I was checking out airfare options, and as it turned out, I was thinking, well, what would happen if we got to New York? And I remember I had seen Les Miserables about a year earlier on Broadway, and it was just the best thing I'd ever seen ever. It was the best entertainment of any kind I'd ever seen. So I said to Natasha, how about if we meet in New York? I'll fly out there, and we'll meet there, and we'll do a couple days in New York, and then we'll come out to LA. So here we go. So we're everything's great, and I get to the airport probably about an hour and a half before a flight's scheduled to land. I've got a little flight tracker, and I take off, and she's over Finland, and then she's over the North Pole, and she's coming, kind of somewhere up at the very top of the arc there. And I'm looking at the arrival time, and it says, plane's due in 3 hours and 20 minutes. And then next thing I see is it's due in 4 hours and 8 minutes, and then it's due in 4 hours and 40 minutes. And I'm thinking, that's not good. How is your arrival time getting longer? And you want to tell them what happened?
It was something with connection between planes and the ground, and they didn't let us to fly through the ocean and planes, because not just us, there were others planes above us, and we were so scared, we did not understand what is happening, and I thought, why it's with me? Why? Because everybody, they thought, we don't know, or do we fly or fly back, or
what?
Yeah, or something very bad could happen.
So we were we got the details, and it turns out that they were over the mid-Atlantic at 38,000 feet, and then the plane just turned around and started heading back, and the next thing you know, they're on a holding pattern. They're on a little race course, just circling in the sky and descending. And it turns out that one way or another, somebody had not gotten ATC clearance through Iceland's airspace. So Iceland didn't have them officially cleared, so they just circled out there for like an hour, maybe hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And they're getting lower and lower, and nobody knows why. And you told me there was a guy in the back of the room, kind of a loud guy, and he goes to the back of the
Yes,
plane, starts banging on the windows, wants to be out of there.
Yeah, that guy was very proud of himself. He was in a business class, but after I saw him in the tail of the plane, yes, and he cried.
Banging on the windows?
Yes,
Just
yes.
let me out.
Yes, it was picture that I didn't forget any.
Yeah, I'll bet. So I was saying when I heard this from Natasha, I said, why the hell didn't the pilot say something? You know, and I immediately go into my pilot voice, you know, what I use when I'm on air traffic control in my little longizy, and it's like, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a little problem here. Nothing wrong with the airplane. The airplane's just absolutely fine. Never been in a healthier airplane, but it turns out that somebody messed up the paperwork, and we don't have air traffic control clearance through Iceland's airspace yet, so we're going to be circling up here just for a few minutes until we get all that stuff sorted out on the ground. Sorry about the delay. We'll let you know exactly what's going on, and don't worry about fuel. We've got enough fuel to fly to New York and back again, so everything's just fine, and we'll keep you posted. But they didn't do that. They basically just kept them hanging there for an hour and a half, and then finally, just before they're ready to come on, they bothered to tell the passengers why they'd been circling, because everybody's got the moving map. You know, it's not like it's a mystery.
Yes.
They're just going around in circles there. So anyway, so the plane was delayed about an hour and a half, 2 hours almost into New York. That's fine. And then I'm waiting in customs at JFK, which is not an experience I would recommend to anybody. And to make a long story short, Natasha was in customs for 3 hours?
3 hours.
3 hours. And you said all the people in front of you, they were asking like 20-minute questions of?
Yeah, it was families. It was just girls and other people. They stayed like more than 20 minutes.
And you just finally, after all these people went through and you waited 3 hours, you went up and talked to the guy and he just said, what?
He asked me about what I'm going to do in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him about Les Miserables,
Mm-hmm.
that it was my dream to see it. And he told, okay, you can go, just second, you can go.
Fantastic. And so
Yes.
finally she came out, and I'm sitting there in the gigantic room at the arrivals area at Kennedy, and I'm way in the back, and there's just a mob of people, just an ocean, and I'm looking, and I'm thinking that might be her, maybe that's her, you know, that might be her, perhaps it's her, and then she came out, and I went, oh, that's her, all right, and you can't really tell sitting down here, but Natasha's very tall, she's 5'10", almost 5'11", and she just came walking out of there like that, and I just went, oh my goodness gracious. And then what did I do? I don't even remember.
You don't remember?
I mean, I remember, but I thought you might want to tell.
What I saw?
When you came around the corner.
It's just, it took just a second to understand that this is my man. It's miracle, but it's like that.
What did I do?
Oh, you can do this artistic gests.
Gesture?
And yes, you did something like this. Let's go. And
Yeah, I was in the back of the crowd, and I wanted you to see me, so I raised my hand and I said, like, come over here, off to the side. And so she came over to the side, and it was, amazing. And I've said this before to many people, but we got in the cab for New York, and so she thought she was going to maybe not survive the trip in the airplane. So there's that. And then, by the way, we get in the cab, and we got a cab driver who was, and New York cab drivers have got a reputation, but this guy actually was genuinely nuts. And we're just slinging around back here in this crummy old cab with this crappy suspension, but Naka put her head on my shoulders, and I had my arm around her, and I thought, I can't remember a time when she wasn't here. And it was just like that, instantly. So we have a couple pictures for you real quick about our little adventures in New York, and then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming. So we talked about how we wanted to go see Les Miserables. This is just an iPhone picture that Natasha took of me, but that I think is one of the best pictures of me ever taken. I just like it, probably because I'm so happy. Wonder why. So we saw the show. We did the night before the show. We went to Times Square, and this must have been around midnight or something, Natasha. I think somewhere around there.
yes,
But it's so amazing, folks. There's so much of what I love about this is just so much the chance for me to see America again. Through fresh eyes, and as we were driving into town, she kept saying, "Oh, I saw this in this movie. I saw this in a movie, and I saw this, and it's great. You don't realize really how much America reaches the rest of the world until people who've never been here come and tell you how familiar everything looks, how New York looks like if you've seen it 100 times, and so we did New York and Times Square the first night, and we went and walked around, and I like this picture very much because I was born in Manhattan and not too far from the Empire State Building there. So we did ourselves a great time in New York. We saw Les Miserables, which is the best thing I've ever seen, ever.
We cried.
Yep.
We just cried.
Like babies.
And I never felt like I did. Yes, just.
And every single minute, there's another thing that they just rip out of you.
Yes.
And Les Miserables is it's the best thing I've ever seen. It is every relationship in the world is there. It's a father-son relationship. It's a sister's relationship. It's a brother's relationship. It's everything. And at the end, I was so overwhelmed, and she was too. And it was just like pretty big turbocharged thing. So anyway, so we did 3 nights in New York, and then we came out to L.A. and got in on Saturday afternoon, I want to say. And then Sunday, I decided, well, if you're going to take a visitor from 6,000 miles away on 10 time zones on the other side of the planet, if you're going to do the California thing, you got to do it right. So we decided I decided I was going to rent if you're going to take somebody down to see California, you have to drive down Pacific Coast Highway in a red Corvette Stingray convertible, and that's pretty much what we did. So Natasha just snapped this baby with the iPhone as well, and we have fond memories of that car and fond memories of that trip. Right after we took this picture, we just walked out on the beach out at Malibu, and the sun is setting, and after all this time we'd spent together, she's actually here, and we had the best time I have ever had. I think we were playing Michael Bublé and Come Fly With Me on the off of the iPod. Went out to dinner out at a place called Mastro's. It used to be called the Chart House. It's a Mastro's right on the ocean, and Natasha had her first lobster ever, which was fun to watch. And then we got in the car and we drove down Sunset Boulevard, and I had Beach Boys playing in a red Corvette, and the top was down, and I'm here with this beautiful woman who I was already falling in love with very fast, and as we kept driving and going down Sunset Boulevard, it's very windy. Finally, Natasha takes off the scarf and starts waving it in the air, and I thought, man, we're home. So we went through Beverly Hills and Sunset Boulevard and Hollywood and did all those things and saw that. And then we went since we're here, we decided, well, let's go to Vegas. So we went to Las Vegas, and we stayed at the hotel that I own there called the Bellagio. Which was named after me, as you probably know. The many properties I own around the world, the Bellagio is my favorent place.
Bellagio.
The Bellagio, yes, exactly. So we stayed at the Bellagio, and then after that, it was like we did I think we did 11 days, and then after we did 11 days, we're thinking, okay, well, now she has to go back, and I didn't want her to go back, and she didn't want to go back. So we said, well, we should probably make this permanent. And I had never met anybody like this before, and I've never just felt this comfortable with anybody. And I realized, we'd known each other and been talking for a couple months, and everything was just automatic. And I'm, 57 years old. I'm probably got it sorted out by now. And I just decided this is the person I'd like to spend the rest of my life with. And I don't think you can really ask somebody to give up everything in the world, drop everything, fly around the world, and not be serious about it. So we'd spent all our time together. So we went to the mall 2 days before she left, and I said, I got to get something up from the Apple store. I'll be right back. And I left her down in the mall, and I went rushing up to the jeweler, and I was... And I walk in there and say, where are your engagement rings? And then she's over here, that one, that's really nice. And so we got it, and can we see it? Wait, there it is. Look at that baby shine. Anyway, there it is. So we did that just before she left, and she got back into took her down to LAX, and that was really hard. Day or two after I proposed to her, she had to go back to LAX and get on an Aeroflot flight and spend 12 hours in an airplane, go back to Russia, and that month was really, really tough. For a while there, we thought we may not be able to get her back out here for another couple, 3 months, because we talked to an immigration attorney. And by the way, I know this doesn't really need to be said, but no video, no audio. Keep refreshing, folks. It's a little odd tonight. In any event, we'd gotten her here on a tourist visa, needless to say, and then we wanted her to come back. But coming back so soon after being here on a tourist visa is a little funny. And obviously, we decided we would be doing everything 100% legally, because this is the kind of immigration story we have. By the way, before I forget, I want to say this. John E. Quest out there, thank you. He said, did we help pay for that ring? That would be a nice feeling. Strata Loungers and the rest of the BillWhittle.com members, you not only helped pay for the ring, you paid for the flight, you paid for the apartment, you paid for the car rental, you paid for all of those things. That's what you all did out there for us, and thank you. So anyway, we had a bad month, just a really rough month. And I talked to a number of immigration attorneys, and they said wait a little while, and we couldn't wait any longer. So finally we got her back on the plane, and she came back direct. Now, one of the things that was tough about this was I've told you guys many times, it's been so many years I spent by myself with my cats, and I wouldn't have made it without those little guys. This is a picture of my cat. Well, his name is Tahu, but I call him Bean. And Natasha just snapped this also with an iPhone. And I've never seen such character. I've never seen so much emotion in the face of an animal before in my life. I love this picture. Love it. Love it. But Natasha had a friend like my cats, and her name is Masyanya, a little Russian princess. And so, where is she? Where did I put Masyanya? There she is. So one of the things that was kind of interesting was Natasha had to get visa and passport, all this stuff. Masyanya had to get five. Yeah, she needed 5 documents. She needed a passport. She needed any number of medical things and so on. But this sweet little cat, she's tiny. My cats look like they ate watermelons. Masyanya is so tiny. She's so tiny and so frail. But that little girl, that little Persian, sat in a soft carrier for 20 hours. Didn't make a sound and didn't make a mess. And now she's home, and she lives in California too. So that's that. So I'll just show you one more thing, just because it's been such a wake-up call for me in so many ways. When we were talking, I guess we were in New York, maybe, or maybe it was Vegas. And Natasha was telling me about Winter Girl. And it was what the heck is Winter Girl? And she was trying to explain to me that this was, it's kind of well known. I mean, who doesn't know about Winter Girl? I didn't know what she was talking about. As it turns out, Russians have a very interesting take on the Santa Claus story, and I am learning a little bit of Russian here. So the Russian Santa Claus is not named Santa Claus. He has a name that in English I told you this, it's just appalling. The Russian Santa Claus is named, here he comes, his name is Ded Moroz, and that means Grandfather Frost, basically. But Ded Moroz has a blue suit, and I think Santa looks so much cooler in a blue suit than the red suit, frankly. And Grandfather Frost, Ded Moroz, are two English words, dead, which is dead, and Moroz, which sounds like morose, which means very, very sad. But anyway, here's Ded Moroz, and according to Russian legend, he has a daughter, Snegurочка. I almost had it right, Snegurочка.
Granddaughter.
A granddaughter, yes, sorry. Snegurочка. Snegurочка. Okay, so there's Ded Moroz, Grandfather Frost, and his daughter Snegurочка, who is Winter Girl. The probably the better translation is Snow Maiden, and Natasha was telling me that ever since she was a little girl of 6 or 7 years old, every time they had a holiday theme, you were always picked to be Snegurочка.
Yes, my mom she made me a costume every year, and I was just like, I felt like a princess, and it was very good memory.
She is a princess. She is a princess, and I, so she got back here on September 12th, and she's been here ever since, and she's not going back because, like so many of us, are our parents anyway. Natasha is an American who happened to be born overseas, and the reason I say that is because the greatest part of this experience for me by far has been almost every day here in America. To her enormous credit, needless to say, I have not heard ever from Natasha, not even a peep of, wow, this is a very nice house or nice buildings, nice cars, nice apartments. By the way, folks, Moscow, I've seen recent pictures of Moscow, makes Los Angeles look like a 18th century medieval village. Moscow is swinging. I can't believe how swinging Moscow is. However, from the very first time we got here, Natasha's face would light up frequently, and it took me a while to figure out what it was, but she's just so amazed at the people, and just the friendliness of the people, and we take this so much for granted. Somebody just said, "Welcome home, Natasha." Kristen Miller 16 said, "Welcome home."
Thank you.
This was time and time again, but just give you a small example of it. My apartment's right opposite from Whole Foods, and we were down there shopping one night, and we're bringing the bags up to get bagged, and we're at the checkout counter, and just as we take this so much for granted. The guy said, "Hey, how's it going?" "Oh, good. How are you?" "I'm fine, thanks." "Did you find everything you want?" "Yeah, everything's good." "Okay, you having a good night?" "Yes, fine, thank you." And Natasha had this look on her face like, "What?" I said, "What is it?" And she said, "Everybody's so nice here." And then she said something that was so sweet, it broke my heart almost. She said she'd always wanted to be nice. She's always been very friendly, and that just doesn't happen in Russia. We were at a supermarket one night, a couple days before this, I guess, and it was midnight, and we were walking down the aisles, and some guy just walked up and said, "I really like your dress. It's just really beautiful dress." And she was just blown away by this. So it's something we should probably remember and try to keep going. Guys, this is in fact a very, 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 very friendly country, and we talked about quite a lot, nothing but that really since then, why it's such a friendly country, because we still have, somebody's written something in Russian up there. I don't know if you can see it right. It's in English over here, right there. I don't know what that. Can you read that?
Любовь не имеет предела.
Пределами?
Предел. It means the love is not on the border in a frame. It's more.
Love has no borders. Love, yeah, that's it. Love has no borders. That's it.
Not frame. No, not borders. I mean, but not frame.
No limits.
Not limits.
Got it. Well, that's very sweet of you. Thank you. And so this was it. And then we're gonna. And people are coming in now with all these comments, and they said, "Wait till you meet some Southerners," and they're absolutely right, and Midwesterners too. If you think people in Los Angeles are nice, when you get to the Midwest, you get up to Minnesota or down in the South, Alabama and Georgia, all these places, the people are just going to fall down. They're so sweet. They're so sweet. But this last thing I'll say before we get into our Happy Fun Celebration Week comments, because it's been a hell of a week for all of us and me more than anybody, I think. We were watching the first debate with Clinton and Trump, and we were watching it with a group of Republicans here in Los Angeles. There may be 30 of us here. There's probably 30 Republicans in all of Los Angeles, and they were all in one place. So we were watching the first debate. Now, obviously, Natasha's come to America not only during election season, she's come to America during the most remarkable election season ever. And since I live in this world, this is something that you get a lot of exposure to. So we're down there watching the first debate, and Trump starts landing some blows on her. And a lot of the people I were with had mixed feelings about Trump, but Trump was just pounding her, as you probably remember. And people in the bar started cheering cheering. Ah, oh, do you believe he said? Oh, cheering. And then Hillary'd say something, and they'd like one or two supporters there, and they'd say something. And it's like a football game. And Natasha looked a little like confused by this, and I said, you know, what are you thinking about? And she said, nobody does this in Russia because there is no politics in Russia because there's no outcome in Russia, right? You can't change the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first thing you said to me, because I told her the very first comment I made to her was, "I'm just such a fan of your country. I love the Russian people very much. Their depth of their soul and the literature and the poetry and their toughness in World War II and all the rest of it." I said, I'm very fond of them, and I've been a big student of their history for a long time. She tells me I know more Russian history than she does.
Oh yeah, it makes me ashamed. He knows very, very good Russian history, and I'm just crazy about it.
Well, I was telling her that I admired Putin. You know, I've done a video on Putin. I don't admire him personally, but I admire his patriotism. And this was back 4, 5, 6 months ago. I admire the fact that he seems to like his country a sure lot better than our president liked ours. And Natasha said something I thought was so deep. She said, "Putin loves Russia. It's the people he doesn't care much about." And I thought, wow. Well, that's really amazing. In any event, so we had this first debate, and then we had the second one, and I was talking with her the whole election cycle, the whole season, about, you know, what we're doing, and she's a fan of my work, obviously, and she obviously is on the right team because she's lived under some of this stuff when she was a little girl. And as we got closer and closer to the election, she was rooting for Trump very hard, and so was I. And as we got closer to the election, about 4 or 5 days out, I guess, I remember I said to her, you know what, I don't think Trump is going to be able to do it. I don't think he's going to be able to pull it out. She's got a pretty big lead, and she's got all the power and all the money and all the rest of it. And somebody just said, "Welcome to the Love Boat, Natasha. We've loved him for years." This is so sweet. I have the best people. We were watching about 4 or 5 days before the election. I said to her, I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. And I knew it was an election loss. And she said something to me, I'll never forget it ever. And she said, "Bill, you know, you're so pure, you're so sweet, you're such an idealist, and I know you believe in all this stuff, but money and power just cannot be beaten. You cannot beat money and power. This is the way the world works. And, you know, you're very, very, very lovable for believing differently, but it's just, that's the way things are. You can't beat money and power." And then we did. And then we did. And she was with me in the studio when I was watching it. And bit by bit, we're watching these results come in, and it's like, it actually happened. And I think of all the things in the world that made me the happiest, I was happiest that she could be here that night to see it. Because, again, this is something, I learned so much about America from her. I believed it was possible. I just didn't think it was likely. Most people didn't think it was possible. And when we heard from her relatives back home, you know, they were saying, well, of course Clinton's going to win. There's no chance that Trump has. The world just doesn't work that way. And when he won, there was a period for the next day, I think, where I was getting messages from Natasha saying her family and the other people that she knows in Russia are wondering if Hillary can reverse this somehow. Oh no! You know, is it possible? Is it possible for her now to, with the money and the power, now that this little election thing has happened? What happens? You know, how does Hillary get it back? She doesn't get it back. It's gone. It doesn't happen. If something were to happen to Trump, then he'd be replaced by the vice president. But it's Republicans for 4 years now. And it was amazing to her, and it's amazing to me, and all of it. It just couldn't be better. I've never been this happy in my life. I didn't know I could be this happy this consistently. I cannot remember what life was like before she arrived. And you'll notice that the hair, she's made my hair turn gray. I used to be young with dark hair, and then the second I saw her, I just she actually convinced me that it's probably time to put the cheap hair dye away and all kinds of other little things. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of her, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of her pictures too. Hang on one second, guys. I want to show you the good version of this. I meant to load this up and I didn't. I'm going to show you the picture she took of me. I'll tell you the story as I'm going on. We were she'd been here for about quite a while, 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and it was a Sunday, and I'd been working very hard on the elections and all the rest of it, and basically Sunday afternoon it was getting dark, and she said, well, we should go out and take pictures. I don't. Okay, sure. Let's go take pictures. And we went out to like a open area and took some pictures of me there. And it started to drizzle a little bit. And then, she says, we need to go someplace pretty like Beverly Hills. I was stone cold exhausted at this point. I was just absolutely blown away tired. And so I said, sure, baby, absolutely. Let's go to Beverly Hills. But I didn't want to go. Try to get this picture loaded. There we go. So we're in Beverly Hills. We're driving to Beverly Hills, and I am like a cat that's getting a 3-hour bath. I just was kind of cranky. Why are we doing this? I'm thinking to myself, it's wet and it's raining, and she's just calm as can be. She absolutely understands how to handle me when I get like this. And anyway, so we got down there, and we get to a scenic location, and Natasha says, okay, stand there like this, now cross your legs like this, now lean against this thing this way. And by this point, I'm so furious, it's like, not at her, obviously, just at the world, because it's been a rough day politically and everything. And I was like, nobody stands this way. Who stands like this? Nobody stands like this. Just do it. Okay, so I do it, and we sit on a bench. Put your arm out here like this. And I feel like an idiot. So after about an hour of giving her this treatment, she just very calmly, very patiently just keeps on going. And she said something that made it okay for me. She said, you're a man. Men don't like doing these things. Men don't like posing. It's okay. Don't worry about it. And I thought, wow, my God. In any event, she was taking pictures, and Natasha, everything she does is in natural light. She doesn't use any lighting at all. Occasionally, maybe a little bit, but all of the pictures we showed you earlier were pictures that she takes in natural light. And so she just snagged a picture of me. She'd say things like, it had rained, which is nice because you really want the streets wet because it has a magical effect. And she would say things like, hey, can you step a little bit forward, a little bit to your left, because she's using the available light from storefronts. There's no light out there. So anyway, she took this picture of me. It's probably the best picture of me ever taken. And I'm just, once I saw this, I thought, okay, my God, So good news for those of you who are Bill Whittle fans. There are going to be a lot of pictures of me taken at a lot of different events. And every time I go someplace, we come back with hundreds of, terrific pictures. And so there's that. So anyway, yeah, she's not going back until we get the visas straightened out and we end up being married, and then I'm going to go back and visit my family in Russia, and I finally get to see Russia. I told her I wanted to see Moscow in the winter, and she said, no, you don't. And I said, yes, of course you do. Of course I do. How do you not see? When do you see Moscow when it's not in the winter? Everything I know about Moscow is in Moscow in winter. You really don't want to go in the winter, and it turns out you really don't. So in any event, that's the honest true story of how we met and how we got here. And see, this is not something most people see. Mostly, sons of bitches, bastard traitors, sons of bitches, and she just calms me down and makes me happy. I couldn't be happier in my whole life, and yeah, so I wanted to share after all this time. So she's going to go in the back room and work on some pictures now, and I'm going to keep her here. Anyway, this is my extended family, and they're the people out there that make all of this stuff possible, and you know that, and she knows that you know, and you know that she knows that you know, and here we are. So anyway, we will let you all know about dates and so on and times and get all that stuff sorted out. But now we have found, we've got a free country and we've got 4 years to work, and I found the love of my life, and just have never in my life ever gotten along with anybody like this. And you probably know by now, those of you who've been with me know I'm not a super easy guy to get along with. I don't suffer fools gladly, but I occasionally have my moments if I really put my head to it. Yeah. Okay. Well, say goodbye to the lovely people, and we'll go back and read all the comments. Have I taken her to the gun range yet? No, I have not. But I have to say something. When we first got here, I showed her the AR-15 and the 45, and it's like, this is what freedom looks like, baby. She's gone for a ride in the Long Easy. And as Sarge says, Cubs win the World Series, Trump is elected, and Bill is engaged. The world is ending. He's absolutely right. It's absolutely incredible. And everybody's saying nice to meet you. And I do want to say again what I say pretty much every week, and that is none of this would happen without you guys. That's absolutely true. It just wouldn't happen without you. You're not only my source of income, but you're my introduction to her, because I sent her my website, and then the next thing you know, she's binge watching videos, and I'm binge looking at all of the photographs that she took on the web. And so anyway, we're just happy as we can be. I am, and she is, and Masyanya's here, and the cats are here, and we got a free country again, and everybody's saying come back and see us again. So I'm looking forward to doing something where we can all kind of meet in person, everybody. But I'm gonna let her get back to her photography work now, and I can answer some of these questions. But yeah, I've been looking forward to this episode for a long time now. And bye, Natasha. Welcome to the family. We love you already. And Natasha, start with a 22. We're gonna get you a little pistol. We're gonna get you a little pistol, little one. It's really easy to shoot, and you can still kill people with it. But it's, you don't want to go out there and start firing my gun because it's gigantic. No, well, there's probably 50,000 people out there that want to take you to the shooting range, and I do too. So we'll get you something nice and small in case the Russians decide to invade or anything, or in case the Americans decide to invade Russia. We can sort this thing out at the border.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you very much. And by the way, I know she's a little shy, but I'd be this shy and I'd be this quiet if I had to speak in a language that wasn't mine. I really, one of my favorite things is to take her to see some of her Russian friends and sit back for an hour and a half and let her speak her natural language at her natural speed, and it's just really, really fun. So this whole relationship happened in English thanks to her, and I'm going to start taking Russian, and we'll see. So until then, до свидания. Спасибо. Yeah. See you later. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Whittle's fiance. Most people thought it would never happen. Hey, somebody's offered to lend you their pistol so you can go shooting with their gun, and we'll be hearing an awful lot more of that. Don't you worry. Anyway, yeah. I feel like the king of the world, and I damn well ought to feel like the king of the world. Thank you very much for that, ladies and gentlemen, and especially thank you for the very kind comments that were coming in live, and we'll be looking for them on YouTube as well, because this just couldn't happen without you, and I mean that sincerely. So needless to say, I am very grateful. And I'll tell you one last thing now that she's not here to embarrass any further. I mean, you just look at the girl, you just think, my God, don't let her find out how much I'm punching above my weight here. And she's absolutely stunning, and she's very kind, and I don't want to be misunderstood about this, but I dated pretty much everybody in Los Angeles, I want to say, and there's something about the old world, which is obviously her elegance is right there, but she's so friendly and does all these little things for me that I remember, she was doing something once at the house. I said, "Oh, thank you so much." Why? It's like, I don't know, just thank you. It's just been absolutely wonderful. But the thing I really wanted to say was the thing that I find most compelling about the whole story from the beginning, and something really that is, I didn't realize how important it was to me. As Jeff said, she must be an astonishing breath of fresh air amid the toxicity of LA women. And I didn't want to come out and say that, but that's precisely, exactly, 100% what it is. just so kind and so friendly and undemanding and humble, and just takes such great care of me. But what I was trying to say here is, when I first saw her, I saw her work. Before I met her, I saw the work that she did. In fact, it was the quality of her work that drew me to her. And I found that being with somebody who's just the top in their profession and who does such extraordinary work, I just am filled with such profound respect for her. And I just admire her enormously. And she has better hair than Ensign Rand. That's exactly right. And don't even start me about how much time I thought about Janice Rand when I was a little boy watching. In any event, but it's amazing, and it's amazing to watch her work, and it's amazing to watch the humility and stuff. And she understands light better than anybody I've ever seen. And just to give you a quick idea of this, we were flying to I want to say it was to Florida right after the election for the Horowitz event, and we were on the plane, and she got out we got out the magazine, the in-flight magazine, and we're looking at ads and because she's actually styling me and dressing me now and so on, and we were looking at this picture. She says, "I like this picture very much," and I said, "Yeah, it's a nice picture." And then she starts saying, "Light's coming from here, but it's kind of coming from here, and you can see from the reflection on his shoes where the light is coming from." And she just, almost like a computer, had just analyzed the way the light was flowing and reflecting and rebounding in the room. And when I look at her pictures, the color palette's all identical. The model's hair matches the wallpaper pattern, and in terms of color, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I really not just I'm flattered. I'm flattered and I'm humbled to be around somebody who does world quality work. And it wouldn't matter what it was. It wouldn't matter if it was photography or anything else, but it was somebody who's, as good as she can possibly be, as good a photographer as you can be, and to do it all with natural lighting is just a tremendous thrill for me. And Natasha said something a couple nights ago, maybe it was a week ago, before we went to Florida, because we've been pulling some long nights here. How long have Scott and Steve known Cheryl? They've known since I asked her to marry me, which would be August 6th. We were both putting in late nights, and she's got a workstation in the back there, and we got a photo studio at my apartment complex for her in the same place. And next thing you know, it's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm just finishing an edit on something, and she's wrapping up getting some photos, batched and looking at. And I remember thinking, she came out and said, "This is really nice. Sometimes we sit at the same table and work together." And she said, "It's so nice that we can both," because we're both night owls, "so nice that we can be here working together." And she said, I don't know how another wife would be able to deal with this." So, huh? She said, "Well, I mean, you're out till 3 o'clock in the morning working on things most nights. And I know this because I'm with you most nights working on stuff too." And I thought, my God, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. So, yeah, to say that this has been an amazing year, it is. And by the way, if you want to see the rest of her work, it's fotomelnikova.ru, and that's FOTOMELNIKOVA.RU. And let me see if there's a watermark on one of these pictures here where it's clearer, and I'll just put it up there for you real quick. It's a little hard to read. So is that. Here you go. I'll put it up for you one more second here. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see it's FOTOMELNIKOVA.RU, and I couldn't be happier. I'll tell you one final thing politically, and then we'll get on to the new. We'll get on to the questions for tonight. One of the reasons that they would talk about a natural-born citizen requirement for the presidency is the main reason that Obama did not qualify for. We're going to assume he was born in Hawaii, but he wasn't the traditional definition of a natural-born citizen, which is a person who was born in America to two American parents. And as I've said many times, I'm not a natural-born citizen by that definition. I was born in Manhattan, and my father's American, but my mother's British. And the reason that the founders thought this might not be a good idea, and it only applies to the president, is that they thought it would prejudice you towards that second parent's country. And sure enough, it does. My mom is British, and I feel a tremendous sympathy to the Brits, and I think that's appropriate for America because I think they're our best friends in the world and have been. But it's there. And all I want to say about this is this. My position and comments on Russia have not softened, but they have certainly gained a perspective. When you talk to somebody who grew up there and you hear things like, well, there are American bases on every side of our country, on every border, everywhere we go, just a few miles across the border, there are American bases. And you try to convince people that no, we're not aggressive or anything, and you list a little bit of the history, but talking about my expanded perception and perspective on things, we would feel a little differently about Russia if there was Russian airfields in Toronto and Vancouver and in Tijuana, giant naval station down there by the Sea of Cortez. And if you really get a sense of a different perspective on things, and of course she's getting a different perspective on things every moment she's here. She tells her friends back in Russia about things that are here, and there's a lot of misconceptions about Americans in Russia, and she's enjoying destroying those. They say all kinds of things about us that really aren't true, and this election especially has been just especially lovely in that regard. But honestly, seeing America through the eyes of somebody who's not from here, especially from somebody who's from a country that I understand very well and I have a lot of admiration for. The Russian people have had so much, when you have all of the smart people and all of the hardworking people and all the rest of them, just taken out and shot, it does have a dampening effect on your mood. But she loves this country so much, and I do too. And she's coming here legally, and she's standing in line, and we're going to get the visa changed, and we get the temporary residence card after we're married, and that lasts until they get the green card, and then after that, there's a 2-year waiting period, is my understanding, and after that 2-year waiting period, she can apply for citizenship. So she's going to be an American citizen, just like you and me. And the nice thing about this country, and I've been saying this forever, is if you do it the right way, we're not against immigration, we're against illegal immigration, and largely we're against illegal immigration because it deprives the immigrants of this experience. You stand there in front of a crowd of people, and you take the oath, and you're as American as people who got off the Mayflower. And the reason we're against illegal immigration is not just because it's unfair to those people, but they miss the experience of actually becoming Americans. Dan says the Russians are so much more like us than many Europeans are. It's absolutely right, Dan, and Natasha's talked about this quite a lot. America's a very big country, and Russia's a very big country, and we have a lot of differences, but we also have a lot of similarities. Nobody does adversity like the Russians, says Kevin Kilcoyne, and it's true. That's why I have such admiration for these people. If you really get into World War II and understand what the Russian people went through as a result of Stalin's, madness, but he did rally the country. When you think about the fact that the Russians fought so hard and took so many casualties and were so unrelentingly brave, and then you find out that some of the bravest of the Russians were people who were captured by the Germans, and they went and spent years in German POW camps. And that's not a fun thing to do. And half of them were killed or didn't make it, but the other half goes home. And the second they get home, they're arrested by their own government, and their families are sent to Siberia for having surrendered. Yeah, it's a tough thing to do. But, her father was a photographer, is a crime photographer, and he was a basketball player. He was very tall. And so, there you go. So it's been fun, and fun is not the word. It's been amazing, and it's going to get more amazing. And after an hour of that, let's get into some of the questions, because there has been apparently some other news that happened since last time we did a show. So here's some